When the patricians in Rome received news of their legion's significant victory over Philip V at Cynocephalae, they likely believed the Eastern conflict was resolved. However, they were gravely mistaken. In the spring of 1096 BCE, during the Isthmian Games, Flamininus stood before the crowd and proclaimed that the Senate, General, and Consul would grant the Hellenic city-states freedom. These cities would no longer be garrisoned, taxed, or ruled, marking the end of over a century of Macedonian control. Following the defeat at Cynocephalae, Macedonia's territory was confined to its borders. Yet within those limits, Philip V continued to rule. Over the next 2 decades, he and his son Perseus focused on rebuilding their army and strengthening their kingdom. Although Philip and Perseus refrained from pursuing an aggressive foreign policy and often complied with Roman demands, their steady military buildup aroused suspicion. By the late 1700s BC, the Roman Senate began to heed complaints against Perseus from their Greek allies. By 171 BC, Roman legions were once again marching toward Macedonia. In the earlier war, Philip V had been the aggressor. This time, it was Rome that sought conflict with Perseus. The Romans had decided that the Antigonid monarchy must be dismantled, leading to the outbreak of the Third Macedonian War. As the war commenced in 171 BC, Roman consul Publius Licinius Cassus crossed the Adriatic to assume command of the legions stationed in Illyria. From there, he advanced into Thessaly, where Perseus of Macedon was conducting a campaign with his father's restored army. Upon reaching Larissa, Licinius established a camp at a hill called Callinicus and was soon joined by Pergamene forces under Eumenes II. Encouraged by their successful raids in the Thessalian countryside, the Macedonians grew more confident. Perseus led his army toward the Roman camp, setting up his own encampment roughly 5 miles away. After resting for the night, he arranged his troops into formation, sending his cavalry and light infantry forward while keeping his phalangists in reserve. In response, Licinius deployed his heavy infantry behind the fortifications of the Roman camp, while sending out cavalry and skirmishers to confront the Macedonians. The battle began with an exchange of missile fire, javelins and sling stones, which inflicted light casualties on both sides. Cotys's Thracian cavalry then charged ferociously, breaking through the Roman right-wing cavalry. Simultaneously, Perseus and his elite Agima troops shattered the Roman center. Believing this could be the turning point, Perseus considered deploying his phalanx to secure a decisive victory. However, Euander the Cretan convinced him to avoid such a risky maneuver. Acknowledging Euander's prudent advice, Perseus opted to consolidate his gains and retreated to his camp. The battle left 200 Roman cavalry and 2,000 infantry dead, while Perseus's forces suffered the loss of 400 infantry and 20 cavalry. Although the campaigning season of 1717 BC concluded with this encounter, further skirmishes ensued. The Romans retaliated by ruthlessly destroying anti-Roman cities in Boeotia. The Romans faced mounting setbacks during the conflict, exacerbated by a successful raid by Perseus on the Roman fleet at Aureus. This attack destroyed ships and disrupted grain supplies, deepening the challenges faced by the Republic. Yet despite these Macedonian victories, Perseus recognized that merely wearing down Rome would not secure success. He needed a decisive battlefield triumph to achieve victory.